February 16th, 2026, 2:31 in the morning. Tipp City, Ohio, just a little town north of Dayton. A man calls 911 and tells the dispatcher that somebody broke into his house and shot his wife. Their two little girls are asleep just down the hall. Police rush to the scene expecting a burglary gone wrong, but what they find in the house doesn't match what the dispatcher heard on the 911 phone call. 3 days later, the husband's under arrest. Tonight, we'll play that 911 phone call, show you the police body cam, and Drew and I will break down exactly where Caleb Flynn's story fell apart. This is the Comm Center.
Then sings my soul, my Savior God to me.
Caleb Flynn, some of you may recognize that name. He was a contestant on season 12 of American Idol back in 2013, and he described himself as a music pastor. He told that camera, quote, "I absolutely love the Lord. I love my wife more than anything." That was 13 years ago. This is what happened on February 16th, 2026. But John, before we get into any of this, I want to acknowledge Ashley Flynn. She was 37 years old, a seventh grade volleyball coach at Tippecanoe Middle School. She was a substitute teacher, mother of two little girls. It's a very sad thing that we have to talk about this, but everything we do tonight is in service of Ashley Flynn and understanding what happened to her.
All right, like I said, I'm John. I'm an actual 911 dispatcher. Joining me, as always, is Drew Breezy. He's an authentic cop with 29 years of experience on the job. Drew, this is a case out of Ohio, a 911 call, a crime scene. These two things don't match. Let's talk about it.
It's one of our favorites, John, because it shows the importance of 911 and listening to the calls themselves. So here's where we are. It's 2:31 maybe in the morning, and Caleb Flynn picks up his phone and he calls 911, and he's going to tell the dispatcher that's on the other side of that line that somebody broke into his house through the garage and shot his wife in bed. And he sounds panicked, which is a giveaway. And on the surface, it does sound like a burglary / homicide, which is exactly kind of what the police responded to. I mean, that's what they're thinking because that's what the call said. We're going to walk you through what a trained dispatcher hears when you listen to this call with different ears.
Oh my God.
Miami County 911.
Oh my, somebody broke into my home. Somebody broke in my home and shot my wife.
Are they still in there?
I don't know.
Okay, what's the address?
932 Cunningham Court, Tipp City, Ohio. Please hurry. Please hurry.
Okay. What are you seeing?
My wife she's got 2 shots to her head. There's blood everywhere. Oh my God. Sir, please.
Ma'am, I need you to take a deep breath, okay? Do you still see anybody in the house?
No, the door to the garage was wide open. Please hurry, please. Oh my God.
So wait till you hear what the officers find when they got to that garage door, because the door, like he just told the dispatcher about, it just doesn't work the way he's making it out to be. But what are some of your initial reactions just hearing, like right off the top of your head? What do you hear?
Everyone's favorite thing is to listen to a 911 call like this and through the retrospective charges against this man being filed and say, well, that sounds obviously fake. When the phone rings and you're hearing this for the first time, you've got to accept everything you're hearing is genuine. But what is interesting to me is that for most people who dial 911 in a state of hysteria, you've really got to pull information out of them. You've got to ask them questions multiple times, get them to focus. It does ring true that the guy described what the emergency was before where he said it was, but there's a key detail there that's just unusual, that he said she's got 2 shots to the head. Normally when someone calls me and there's a gunshot wound, it's as simple as my wife's been shot.
That's a great point, John. Here's something that I thought of when I heard it, probably listening to it the 3rd or 4th time. He describes the burglary, then he talks about his wife being shot. And I'm pretty certain, just in psychology, that if you're calling 911 for an emergency, the actual emergency is my wife has been shot.
Yeah, and it's not that we can't handle both at the same time, but if what he's seeing, and if he's just woken up or if he's just become aware of the situation, he's going to see his wife shot first. But him beginning this long story of the garage door being wide open and making a burglar a third party culprit seem instantly plausible, deflecting any attention away from him, so that no one asks the question, were you fighting? Were you cleaning a gun while your wife was sleeping?
So there's definitely something else he said on the call that nobody's going to catch on the first go around. I'm guessing, but just wait. We'll get to it. I promise. Just keep listening.
My daughters are here. My daughters are here.
Where's she at?
She's in the bed. She's in the bed.
Are you with her?
I am in the room. I'm looking at her. Yes, please.
Okay. Do you guys have the door locked?
We have the doors to the garage locked, but into the house, yes. Please. Oh my God. Oh my God. Please.
Where is that room at in the house? My partner's getting them dispatched, okay? But I need you to answer my questions so I can get you help as fast as I can, okay?
Fairly common, John?
Yeah, well, when he asked where the daughter is and saying that I'm looking right at her, so far this is by the numbers, but we've got to establish if there's an assailant still in the house, we can't send an ambulance in to look at that patient with the gunshot wounds until we are sure that they're gone. So police will be there first to check out the residence to make sure that it's clear.
What question?
Where are you guys at in the house?
I'm in the bedroom with her right now.
Okay.
My daughters are in their room.
So you are not with the children?
I was with the children when it happened.
Okay, but you're not with them now?
No, they're in their room. They're not even awake. Oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Sir, please.
They are heading that way, okay? I need you to take a deep breath for me. Are you hearing anything?
No, I've rubbed her leg and said her name. She's not answering.
Okay. Your daughter's not answering you?
I'm sorry. No. Hold on. I'm putting on a shirt. What'd you say?
That did spark something when he said that. He said, hold on, I'm putting on a shirt. And so obviously he had his phone like this. And he's, well, first of all, to John, he said, I rubbed her leg and said her name. But he never said her name. He didn't say her name like.
Wouldn't say her name on the call.
Yeah, that's probably true. But
well, no, what I'm saying is, most people, when they tell the story, they tell it in the present tense. They said, I shook her and I said, whatever the name of his wife is. But there's confusion here about where the location of the children is. The reason why we want to know where the children are is because we want to make sure that the kids aren't shot too. You got to remember with Brian Koberger, he went to that house and took care of everybody. We want to make sure those children are alive. I thought that he said at first that he had only one daughter and that daughter was in the bed with him, so that the daughter was safe. And now I'm hearing that the kids are down in the hallway. This is confusing. We're trying to account for everyone in the house. We want to know how many people are in there. We want to know how many people are hurt. We want to know how many people are safe.
This probably should send up your hackles because not asking about the kids or like it's almost as the kids are an afterthought for him. And his whole motive for calling, his whole reason for calling is that somebody broke into the house and somebody shot my wife twice in the head. Never does he say, I think, he's still in here, or I got to go get to my kids to make sure they're okay. He never really talks about this. The same thing we kind of saw with Corey Richins, isn't it?
It is. And like I said, you normally have to pump someone for information on a 911 call. And when they offer things up voluntarily without you asking, there's two schools of thought on that. Any kind of suspicious situation like this, a potential homicide, do you let the 911 caller talk and kind of tip his hand as to whatever's really going on, whatever he wants us to think is going on? Or are we basically the first spectators to him building an alibi?
Your daughter's not answering you?
No, they're across the room.
Okay.
In their room.
Okay. Are you hearing any kind of noise inside the house?
No, her face is, sir, her face is white as good ghost. Please hurry.
Okay, whose face?
My wife's face.
Your wife's face?
The one who was shot.
She was what?
Shot, I said.
Okay, where was she shot at?
In the head. I hope there's blood everywhere.
Okay, is she breathing?
I don't think so. Ashley, baby, please. Oh my God, no, she's not.
Okay, she's not responding to you?
No. Oh my God.
Okay, do you see anybody in the house now?
No, it's pitch black and the doors are locked. The door leading to the garage door was wide open when I ran in there.
Okay, a couple things. Again, the dispatcher is reacting again to the news that the woman has been shot. It's as if he didn't hear it the first time, which is possible when a guy like this is rambling stuff off to you and you're doing your best to get that information down and get it out to the cops as a possible burglary in progress. That's a hot call. But he also said the room's dark. Ascertaining that she's been shot twice in the head is very, very, very specific. It would be one thing if you turn on the lights and he, a scene from a horror movie was what was in front of him, and he would say, "My wife shot." But he's talking now about how he attempted to rouse her, that it's pitch black. He's already put on his shirt. He doesn't ascertain whether his daughters are okay, and he already knows that the pathway from his bedroom or wherever he's at to the garage is open and clear for some third party to come in and come out. But it's pitch black this entire time.
Yeah, it's
beginning to get problematic.
So so John, kind of walk people through, like, when you're taking this call, like, are you taking note of these things, or is this just like you're trying to deal with the acute conversation that's happening?
The thing up front is, like I said, we have to treat it as serious, and we're handling a burglary in progress, and we're also handling a gunshot wound. We handle both of those things, but the general procedure for us is a victim first mentality, and that if we can prevent this from being a homicide investigation later, we're going to do that. However, 2 gunshot wounds to the head, severe, gross trauma, wounds incompatible with life. Those things they're not going to be compatible with CPR or other heroic life-saving measures. So we might try to move on to how do we get better care there? How do we get people safely into the building? Wondering whether or not that assailant's still in the area, getting a description, anything else that we could find out about his person, his weapon, anything else like that, his last known direction of travel, if the vehicle's involved, if a vehicle was heard, we might start asking for these things. So we try to stay locked in and treat the situation as truthful because, we don't have time to question him or begin to second guess the veracity of what we're told.
3 times the same door he's mentioned. There's new details every time he brings it up. I think it was 2 or 3 times anyway, but John's
you're dealing with a gunshot wound. I don't really care about a door.
Yeah, and he's hyper focused on it, it seems like. So we're going to show you what was actually found behind that door if you just stick with us, but we're still in the 911 call phase of this whole thing.
Okay, do you see any kind of vehicles?
No. Wait, no. The door. There's a side door in our garage door that's open by the. Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the 3rd time there. I knew it was either 2 or 3 times, and that was the 3rd time there.
Yeah, talking about the method of entry is a very. I've studied crime scene TV shows. The detectives always want to know how the bad guy got in. And he's talking about that up front. It's very strange.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are we on the fake, in the fake meter?
He's trending pretty high right now. Just talking about this door over and over again, and the things that I'm getting about the specificity of the wounds, and not knowing the status of the children, and everything still being pitch black or not, the kids being with him or not. We're trending at about a 4. If five is the tipping point where I stop believing him, we're pretty close.
Yeah, all things being said, considered, like, if you listen to these calls in hindsight, like after the fact, you'll hear what the natural flow of what somebody in distress sounds like, and then you'll hear what he sounds like, which is a little bit more forced. And that's even
not enough, to be honest. He's still very controlled. He's still very detail oriented. When a person's truly panicking, they lose their shit. They don't know upside from downside.
Okay, I need you to just take a deep breath for me. Okay, they're getting to you as quick as they can. Is that door still open?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Is she breathing at all?
I don't think so. There's 2 shots to her head.
Okay.
Did he say 3 shots to her head that time? I don't know.
Details.
Yeah.
You are comfortable, I want you to go and find a cloth, and I want you to put a cloth on that gunshot wound, okay?
Like a towel?
Yes, like a towel, but do not apply direct pressure to it. Just put it on that blood wound, okay?
Okay. Oh, my God. Oh, my, okay.
I need you to just take a deep breath for me, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Just get that cloth, and I want you to put it on that wound, but don't apply direct pressure to it, okay? They're coming to you as quick as they can, okay?
I just laid it on her head.
Okay. Where are the juveniles? Are they okay? Have you checked on them?
I haven't checked on them.
Okay. Can you go check on the juveniles for me?
The police is here. The police is here.
Okay. Can you go check on the juveniles for me?
Wait, the cops just pulled. They just left. They just left.
Okay. I need you to go check on the juveniles for me, okay?
All right, let's talk about speech for a second. He said something, or he's about to say, I haven't checked on them. They're still sleeping. So
how do you know they're sleeping if you haven't checked on them? I mean, there's a logic fallacy there. I guess they haven't gotten up yet, but we're also, I mean, me as a dispatcher, I'm worried. So your wife's she's passed away, but we don't know the status of your children. We want to know if the kids have been shot. You're saying they're sleeping, but you haven't checked on them. You don't know if they're sleeping. And a human being needs to say, like, hey, what's your name? Caleb, go check on your kids. And, something like that's going to be more effective.
Excellent point.
They're still sleeping. They're still sleeping.
Okay, you still see them breathing? You don't see any wounds on them?
No.
He answered that before the question was even asked. And again, this is all hindsight review of the 911 call, and we'll see why that's important in a second. A New York NYPD detective will even reaffirm this, but if he's answering the question before it's even fully asked, he already knew the answer before he walked in there. This seems a little bit rehearsed to me, but that's in hindsight.
Well, he just knew the answer. He didn't have to go check on them because he knew that they were fine.
The cop just pulled away. Sir. The cop is here.
Okay, I want you to... Okay, open the door for him so he can get into her, okay?
Okay, he's coming to me. Sir! Please, sir! What? I don't know. The door to the garage door was wide open. I'm her husband. Still here? No, I don't think so. You put the dog someplace? Yes.
All right, John. So you heard
the cop is the garage door is wide open. Why doesn't he say, "Come here, help me with my wife, help my wife"?
Yeah, and he's right. And this is the sergeant that arrives first. I just happen to know because I've seen the body cam already. And he's one of the first things he's first on scene. One of the first things he says is like, we got to search the house. We got to make sure that nobody's still in here, right? One last point about the open line, John. It allows you to compare what the person told you on the phone versus what they're telling the officer on the scene, because rarely do you get that opportunity. And if they don't
marked change in demeanor, if they suddenly become more expressive or more performative once the officer's there. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Hey, ma'am, do you still have me on the phone here?
It's wide open.
Okay.
And I went here, and then there's a door all the way to the right. That one's open. Behind it. My daughters are in the bedroom over there. They're still asleep. Sure. Have you checked them? The 911, yes. No, every door. Listen. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
So all that may seem inconsequential, John, but again, like maybe perhaps you're gathering evidence.
You never know the significance of something until the full context of everything. You know, you've just picked up 3 pieces of a puzzle that you don't even know the picture for. But later, after the crime scene is analyzed, he's interviewed or interrogated, as the case may be, this may fit into something that you've learned.
So 2:40, the officers arrived to find Caleb Flynn. He was hyperventilating. He was on the porch. They let him in the house. He went in the house. We're going to see that in a second. You'll notice there's some blurred body cam, and that was done intentionally by the agency. What they did was they blurred anything that could be of evidentiary value, but at the same time, they wanted to get the body cam out for transparency purposes. The first thing you have to do, by the way, as a responder, and it happened to be the sergeant this time, was you have to confirm what he's saying, because there are times when people, believe it or not, call and they talk about this murder that just occurred, or a shooting that just occurred, or a beheading or whatever it is, and you go to the house and it's just nothing but like candles and a seance or something. Like sometimes mentally ill people call, or there are like swatting incidents. But obviously they went in the house this time. They searched it. They made sure that there was nobody else in there and that everybody inside was safe, which we're about to see. And they confirmed that there was definitely somebody in the bedroom with gunshot wounds. They didn't, I don't think, counted. So no trace of evidence, no footprints, no vehicles in the area. There was no sign of forced entry, and we're about to see that in a second.
Joining us now to talk more about this case is retired NYPD Detective David Sarney. Always great to have you here on Law and Crime. When you listen to this 911 call, and it's not often that we get it as soon as we did after a case, but we have in this case, and you hear what Caleb Flynn is saying to law enforcement. If you're an investigator, what stands out to you on this?
Thank you for having me. I will tell you this: anytime we have these type of incidents, you always go back to the 911 calls, because you want to see if it matches up with the statements given to you when you get there, respond to the scene, and speak to the 911 caller directly.
So there you have it. A retired NYPD detective just told you exactly what John's been showing you for the past 3 or 4 years.
Oh, you outrank him anyway.
What's that?
Don't you outrank him? You're a lieutenant. That guy was
that guy's done way more than me, I guarantee it. But you go back to the 911 call. It all, our tagline is that every good true crime story starts with a 911 call. But in real life, it's people like John that are taking these 911 calls that are pivotal. These are the linchpins in a lot of these investigations. It's the first response. It's the first time somebody hears of it. So this is the moment where the officers actually see it. So John's already explained to you what he's heard. I'm going to kind of show you what the officers are seeing and why they're doing what they're doing. This is actual body cam footage. Again, it's redacted if there's any evidentiary value to it, because the agency didn't want you to see that. They want to preserve it for court. So maybe this guy's made statements, or, you can see them walking around the house doing their search, coordinating with one another, making sure that each room is checked. And this is what they say.
Okay. I checked this right here, nothing else.
Okay.
My daughters are in the bedroom over there. They're still asleep.
Okay. Have you checked on them?
The 911. Yes. Right now, no one else comes in here. Period. No, every door. No one.
Okay, so the sergeant has taken command, and he's saying he's established it's a crime scene. Nobody else comes in here. The guy called in reported a crime. They came and they verified that they're not worried about the burglary just yet, but they verified that there is a woman that is deceased in the bed with gunshot wounds. And he's doing everything he can to minimize entry into that place. He tells them also, hey, when you're walking around here searching, make sure you touch as little as possible. Don't disturb anything. And you'll see also in a minute here how he starts kind of twisting himself a little bit so that his body cam catches Caleb.
Okay.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay, sit. You want to sit down?
No.
Okay. Take a breath.
Is she gone?
Look at me. Look at me. Take a breath. Okay.
I can't.
Look at me. I need you to breathe, okay?
So this is an officer's version of repetitive persistence, John. There's a reason she's offering him a seat and treating him with kid gloves, because you want him to keep him talking. You don't want to shut him off. What are your observations so far about what's going on here?
I don't have as much experience with you in dealing with this in person. It's a little histrionic. That on his knees, is she gone? Is she gone? It's a little performative, but I don't know. I don't know how people what they look like in person when their wife or their husband is passed away in the next room.
Yeah, when the drama goes over the top, just like that David Tronis episode we did, the zombie flip, the zombie house flip. When you're a little bit over dramatic and you maintain that over dramaticism, especially in the interview room or in the interrogation room, you start giving yourself away a little bit. People are understandably upset. Like, don't think that we're callous to that. Like, people are understandably upset. There just comes a point where you start recognizing what's upset and what's performative.
Try not to touch much. What do I do with my daughters? What do I do with my daughters?
Right now, I need you to breathe, okay?
All right, you can barely make it out, but this is the same thing that we saw with Corey Richins and I pointed it out back then. He's got one hand over his mouth because he's worried about what he's saying, probably, like his body is telling him that. He's also got one hand over his head, and he's talking about his kids. He's in shame. He's in total shame of what's happening here. He doesn't, this isn't shock. This isn't like, oh my God, I'm incensed, or this is like, he's speak no evil, see no evil, and he's only one monkey.
Do you have any family that you can call? Okay, where's your phone at? Okay. Do you want to call family? Hold on. Corey, do you watch him? Yep.
Okay, so an officer summons her to a different room. She communicates well. Hey, make sure you watch him. Okay, they're going to search the garage first, I believe. A few things come out when they search the garage. I want to get to the point where we get to the where we talk about the room search for the kids.
Yes, one person only.
Oh, that door's open over there. That back door's open.
Okay, she's holding deadly force. She's pointing her gun towards the two main big garage doors, but she's pointing off to her right with her hand or nodding, indicating that garage door is open. And she even says, unless it's a closet or something, and then the other guy goes over and checks.
Is that lead outside? Because I can't see. Is that a closet? Okay.
The center console of the truck.
It is.
Oof.
That's something that he'd noticed really fast.
Yep. And remember that, because, like, there's a statement that's made in a second that just kind of blew me away. But so that's the storage location. Caleb does admit to police that he kept his personal handgun in the center console of his truck. There were two, by the way, shell casings recovered in the back bedroom next to his wife. And we don't know. I don't know if they've ever recovered the handgun in this thing.
Okay. So let me, how soon is too soon to ask us? The story is someone broke into the house, possibly unarmed, but broke into the garage, happened to go into the vehicle of all things. You're breaking into a house, then a vehicle, looking for what? But then you happen to find a gun in the center console, which actually is not a normal place where you would expect a gun. I mean, when people have them in their cars, that's where they're at. But, if you're going to go into a house, why would you look for a gun there? And the story is that this person went in there and took the gun and then executed this person and then left? Like murder wasn't on their mind when they broke in, but then they changed their minds to murder being the only thing that mattered? I'm very confused by this potential evidence.
Yeah, it does.
It's saying.
I'm telling you, it's probably adding up pretty quickly. Like ching, it's the adding machine in their head is going off pretty quick because it seems kind of odd that she's the only one that took bullets in this whole thing.
Well, I mean, if it was just a crazy person, like why aren't there rounds in the walls and the kids and him?
Yeah.
But
and the dogs.
And the dogs, the dogs are actually very you would expect that. But if it's his firearm that was used to take out his wife, and he's been there at the house this entire time, how did he get rid of the weapon? Are we able to establish a time frame on when she actually passed away? Was he actually able to leave the house, go throw the gun in the river, and come home?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Should we have him? Okay, look at this. Watch out. Oh no, it's paint. Do you see any blood along the truck at all?
I could see you even on a truck like that. They get pretty hot. Just even bending over, you'd be able to hear the engine ticking as it cooled. Like you said, you'd smell it. You could even feel the heat on your cheek without touching it.
If he drove it anywhere, it would have to be pretty warm. It probably is going to cool pretty quick, but it would have to be fairly warm. The truck.
Hey, is someone watching him?
So she whispers, "Is someone watching him?" She's, my impression of her is she's some type of field training officer, or she should be. She's doing really well. But she's making sure that somebody's actually watching this guy. We want to make sure that because what if he doubles back? What if he is the shooter? And what if he doubles back to the refrigerator where he stored the gun? And now he's coming at them. Or what if he, you know what I mean? Or is he destroying evidence in there? Or there should always be somebody with that guy just in case he says something, but also, in case he's not involved, just to have somebody with him.
Well, he said he was calling family too. I think it's going to be super important because we've got his first testimony on what occurred on his 911 call, but now as he's calling family, he's establishing an alibi with them too. So now you're getting ready to hear either the same event as what you just heard on the 911 call or a different event as he tells family, which he's going to treat them, notifying them completely differently.
Somebody needs to be watching him.
Okay.
Are there any firearms in this house?
I have a shotgun.
Okay.
What's that?
Oh, I said okay.
A shotgun and a 22 and like a pellet gun.
Okay, where?
And I have a handgun in my truck.
Okay.
In the glove box.
Okay.
Okay, remember that a handgun in the center console of his truck, in the glove box, as he called it. And that truck is parked in that garage, the same garage with the door that he's mentioned 3 times now. So stick with us on this one. John, did you hear anything out of the ordinary when she asked him about the guns? What his response was?
Well, he's got a shotgun, which we know isn't anything that was used in this crime scene. The shotgun's going to leave a lot more damage than what he found. Mentioning the pistol in the truck, he's mentioning that because the police were just out there, as though maybe they know that the gun's already not in there. And then the pellet gun, I'm not sure why that would be mentioned at all. But
yeah, it struck me that this is the order that he gave it in. He talked about the shotgun, he talked about the pellet gun, then he, as an afterthought, said, "Oh, by the way, there's a gun in the center console out there." It's the same place that he's been focused on getting them to, so they'll go, "Wait a minute, did you say garage where your truck is?" This is
the lapse in logic is that if he's trying to make it seem like someone broke in and got to his gun, and then supposedly, the gun's missing, it's never been recovered, he was able to leave the scene, left behind his dead wife and his 2 children, and went somewhere to dispose of the gun. Why would he even try to make it seem like it was his gun used at all, unless there's some sort of other way in which the state, I don't know if the firearm's registered. I don't know if there's some other way that they already have a record of some bullet that he's fired that they would be able to compare it to. Why was he so concerned with making sure that they understand that it was his weapon used and his weapon taken from the scene?
And not only that, why was he concerned about making sure that that was the afterthought? Because nobody cares about a pellet gun.
And when that's not what killed his wife.
Yeah, she's not asking what replica looking guns you have in here. She's asking about the guns that could kill you. And so she asks about those guns, and the third one, the fourth one or whatever that he mentioned it just happens to be the same make and model that killed his wife allegedly. So
I guess if it was me and she asked about a gun, and I would want to make sure that mine was still there to prove that I didn't do it, and I would want to go in there and point out to the guy where my gun's at. Go ahead and pick it up. You can see that it hasn't been fired.
I'm running through this too, and I think it's hard to say what my response would be, but I think if it were just organic, it would be like, yeah, I got guns everywhere around here. And then, then I would probably, kind of walk them through or point them in the right direction. But he's memorized, or he's kind of rehearsed anticipating that question, in my opinion. So I haven't checked on them. They're still sleeping. That's what he said about the kids on the 911 call. This is the body cam where two officers enter that room. There are a couple observations I want you to think about. They're going into a kid's room, and I could just tell you, like, from having been in a similar situation, not this exact, situation. You pray, like your stomach is in knots, and you pray that, he's already told you, that they're both in there sound asleep, but you don't know you can trust this guy yet, first of all. And you don't know that you can trust the predator that broke into the house, if there is one, right? And what you're about to see is either going to ruin you for the rest of your life, or it's going to make your day. And in that moment, you've got to be bold and brave and ready to react in the event that there's somebody in there. And I'll paint the picture for you before I show it to you, but like, it's painted like a kid's room. There are bunk beds, it's all redacted. It's all blurred out, but I'm just telling you that 2 or 3 seconds as you're opening the door and walking into there, and you're preparing yourself for the worst.
Yeah. You're like, am I pre-PTSD?
Yeah. This is like preemptive PTSD almost.
Can I call somebody?
Awake. Both of them. Yep.
So there they are, just laying there like two little angels, like just
I haven't woken up. They must be deep sleepers.
Well, that's another problem that comes up later. Like, how did they sleep through that? Just the relief knowing that there aren't two kids dead in that room. I'm telling you, it's a big heavy load off of those officers' shoulders. I guarantee you.
Is this just okay?
Okay, so she gives the okay. Just remember, this is not a search for evidence. This is a search for suspects. They're still trying to make the place safe. They're still trying to make sure that nobody is hiding somewhere, so they can open any closet door or any dresser drawer or whatever that somebody could technically hide in. If it's a little tiny box or something, obviously you can't hide in that. But
The girl's okay.
Yes, girls are okay.
boy, it took a long time for him to ask that, though, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird. Like that might be the natural time to ask, but shouldn't you know that? Shouldn't you know the answer to that question before I even get here?
Putting myself in his position, that's all I can do.
Yeah.
I would wake the girls up and get them out of the house.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel safe being there. I wouldn't want them to be in the house with their poor slain mother. I'd be holding them close. I wouldn't be going to pieces. Another better man goes in and checks on my children. I'd be doing that.
We saw the same thing with Corey Richards, though. This is the exact same thing that happened. Like this became the big debate about which room are the kids in, and has anybody checked on them, and are they then she says, oh, they're standing at the door listening. The kids are, yes, you definitely want to keep them out of harm's way, but for God's sakes, like your parents, you got to be the parents for them too, right?
You think that paternal and maternal instincts would take over, and you wouldn't have to remind somebody.
Yeah. So the alibi is that it's a botched, violent home invasion, but the forensic reality is no signs of struggle, no forced entry. The alibi is that the intruder fled out a side garage door, which we're going to talk more about in a second. The door was physically blocked from the inside by this big refrigerator or freezer or something. The alibi is that an unknown gunman brought a weapon, but the 9mm casings matched the weapon that Caleb admitted storing in his open truck console that all of a sudden is missing.
Yeah, 9mm is about as common as they get, though.
Yeah, they're pretty common. And then the alibi of screaming, chaotic break-in, but the children were in an adjacent bedroom. They never woke up. They didn't hear any gunshots. They didn't hear anybody breaking in from the garage. I mean,
is his wife in bed? Is she laying on the floor?
Yeah.
What's the ballistics of that? What was the height of the person who shot her, and from what angle? These are all things that are going to be very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Come on, honey.
Okay, this is, I believe, his mother, if not her mother, but I'm pretty sure it's his mother. Did you hear what he just said there, John? Like he's it's hard to hear because the mics are muffled, but did you happen to hear what he said?
Nope.
He keeps saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
That doesn't make any sense.
What are you sorry about? I'm sorry you lost your daughter, but what's that?
That's virtually a confession right there. Why are you saying you're sorry?
Yeah, unless I completely misheard that.
In a car accident, if you say I'm sorry, you're assuming liability. I mean,
I'm gonna rewind it just a little bit so we can hear that again. But I'm pretty sure he says, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Could definitely go either way.
The girls don't know. The girls are sleeping.
Drew, I got a detective question for you.
Yeah.
She arrives on scene. Okay. She's provided some much needed emotional support to this absolute basket case of a father. How soon do you get these two separated and start talking to her about whether or not they was trouble in paradise?
I think you're going to see in a minute that it's probably a better play to keep them together for now and just make sure that they don't start whispering or venturing into areas that you don't want them talking about. You like witnesses, most definitely you want to separate. Like, so if there are two people in the house, you definitely want to keep them apart. Here, she actually provides a good outlet for him to speak and then to listen. And she can ask all the questions she wants. There's no Miranda involved when she asks a question.
Right. And if he does say something against his own interest here on the body cam, it's absolutely admissible.
You might see that in a second.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do either.
I'm just I'm in shock. Yeah, I think maybe.
Do you want to sit down on the steps?
If you have a blanket, can we get him a blanket?
Yep.
So this is this isn't an exact representation, but he kept talking about that the intruder came in from the garage. Like there was an exterior door on the garage that's not one of the roll-up garage doors, and that's how the assailant got in. The only problem with this story is that there's this huge fridge or freezer in front of that door, and you're going to hear the officer describe what that looked like to her.
Who walked around in the back?
What's that?
Who walked around in the back? To deputies?
Deputies.
None of us have walked around in the back?
No.
Do you not want us to?
I don't.
Let.
I was only till dogs got here. We have 2 dogs.
Okay.
Okay, so she's like, who's walked around the back? Meaning that's one of the first things you're going to do is search the crime scene. You want to search the entire scene to see if they dropped a cigarette or they dropped their ID or whatever. And she's like, do you not want us to go out back? And he's kind of saying, well, I got dogs coming. What that essentially means is we have a perimeter set up on the, maybe within a half-mile radius of this crime scene. There's cars with their lights on that have set up a perimeter, and the dogs need to do their job. So when you start walking through and contaminating, it confuses the dog. It confuses the scent. So even when you're not there, what he's trying to do, don't let anybody back there. Don't let anybody walk around, and just let the dog do its job.
I just had them go around and put up, I don't know, Colt might have went around some to put up the tape.
Yeah.
That would have been it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure I don't believe it. I mean, Troy said they could bring a drone, but we don't know what they were looking for. I mean,
Watch what the sergeant does here.
I froze, and then I ran, and the door to the garage was wide open, and then
So he's given his version of the story, and the sergeant just stops talking, like he should, turns to Caleb so that the body cam is focused right on him, and lets him tell his story. And right towards the end of the story, he looks up at the other officer there like, are you hearing this? You believe this?
He doesn't strike me as someone who's going to chase after the man who shot his wife and then still never check on his kids. This guy presents himself as an absolute inept basket case, totally out of control of the situation. But the story is that he's getting up and running around and as if he's going after this person. The person that he's presenting right now should be woke up, found his wife dead, and he hid under the bed. I mean, that's what I would believe from him.
And like, why would you run to the garage? Why would that be I don't know about the first place, but why would you run to the garage? If your wife is laying there with bullet holes, I mean,
for all he knew, he left the front door unlocked and the door was unlocked.
Right. The garage is just overplayed.
How long were you here before we got here? Like 20 seconds?
Yeah, not too long.
Okay.
Because I think I seen your guys' lights.
Yeah. No cars came driving out of
No,
here?
I didn't see nothing.
I can guarantee it that sergeant is listening to everything he's saying while he's trying to talk to her.
He's doing both. Yep.
Yeah, he's trying to give quick, short answers, but he doesn't want to say, "Hey, shut up for a second."
His body posture is giving that off too. She's asking questions that, about apprehending a suspect. She's still very focused on the idea that it's a third party, but the sergeant is making sure that he's still paying attention to Caleb.
He's turned his body camera away from Caleb, but I guarantee he's trying to listen to he's trying to hear what he's saying.
Turned more towards him though.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait, I didn't see anything either. All down high.
And
I didn't see
I
anything.
came first one. It came in. I started going fast, and they said,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hit my siren.
Oh, yeah.
And then I turned the siren off a ways down, so
Yeah.
I don't scare no one.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't find it at first.
Well, the side door is what's open.
It's open still.
Yeah, it is. There was a fridge in front of it, like on the inside of the garage, and it's like someone pushed the fridge to open the door, and it's still open.
Okay.
Insane. So there was a fridge blocking the door partially. So whoever got in had to push the door out of the way. John, if you're the kind of person who doesn't just listen to the 911 call, but wants to understand what's actually being said or what the investigators are actually doing, you're definitely in the right place. But we've seen recently that a lot of people aren't subscribed. You're watching our content. You like us. You're leaving us great comments, which we encourage all the time. Why don't you just hit that subscribe button so you can come back next Thursday? John, what do you think is happening here?
Hearing that story about how the fridge would have to be pushed open, it just further confirms that this so-called burglary makes no sense. What's the motivation for a burglary? Typically, it's some sort of monetary gain. They're trying to rip something off. They don't go in there looking for a weapon inside a truck to find someone to murder and then flee. I mean, if you're going to kill someone in the course of a burglary, you might as well get what you came for. But also the idea that someone's going to approach a house out of all of these, go to a side door, which the cops didn't even know was there. So you don't know what's there if you're just casually going through the neighborhood. So how was the house picked out? Well, if what Caleb's saying is true, that means that somebody knew this family. They knew the side door was there. They knew that the side door could be pushed open, that there would be a fridge in the way, and that the console would have Caleb's gun in there. But again, if someone's coming specifically to do in his wife, they probably would have brought their own weapon. They wouldn't count on Caleb leaving the gun there. It's got to be someone they know who they can definitely find then, and they can interview and eliminate all of their known associates as potential suspects, leaving only Caleb. The story that's being shaped is that it was a rando person who got lucky again, committed a terrible act, and then fled.
So, I mean, fingerprint.
We've already talked about the alibi versus the reality. The entry point doesn't work. The gun console is open. There are 2 shell casings on the floor. The children in the next room, they slept through the whole thing. So that's what 82 hours of investigation looks like. This is wrapping up here. You're going to see in a second what happens at the station.
She's sound asleep. She knew.
She told me to sleep on the couch because I was coughing. I shouldn't have listened.
She told me to sleep on the couch because I was coughing, I think he said. I shouldn't have listened.
According to a court document, Caleb voluntarily spoke with police. He was later fingerprinted, swabbed for DNA, and police took photos of him. Days later, on the 19th, Caleb was arrested in connection to his wife's murder. He was taken to the Miami County Jail, where he remains on a $2 million bond. Court documents show defense attorneys for Caleb Flynn, Ashley's husband, who's been charged in connection to her death, filed a motion Tuesday to seal future files relating to the case until it's been resolved in court. The motion also asks the court to restrict all law enforcement agencies and the Miami County Prosecutor's Office from releasing any information from here on out to the public. This comes a day after the Tipp City Police Department released body and dash cam video of the night Ashley was murdered and of Caleb's arrest. In the email containing the link to the videos, Police Chief Greg Atkins wrote, quote, "The release of the videos is part of the department's ongoing commitment to transparency and accountability and is in accordance with department policy and procedure."
So this is what I liked about what that police chief said. Like, this is basically me saying the same thing. You all wanted these body cams. You all want this transparency. This is the product of that. You're getting to see the inside of what we're seeing, but we can't show you everything because he's got to have a fair trial as well. And the defense is like, the defense is enraged that they would release anything whatsoever. So they want to control the narrative, but they can't because they've released the redacted version of the body cam, John.
He's somewhere in the house. If he's in the bed, it doesn't make sense that he wouldn't have gotten up immediately there or see the kids. There are a lot of, again, all the red flags are there. And, when we talk about staging crime scenes and the like, staging 911 calls is the other part of it. And that's why when we hear these calls, and we're going to investigate it, you listen to the call and you're going, something's not right. And that's why the continuous conversations that you're going to have with them, trying to pinpoint or set up some sort of timeline for what he did when this happened. And again, this is what investigators do. We take it as it is, and then as the facts lay out, then we go the other route. You started as a shooting, your wife's murdered. Oh my gosh, that's really horrible for you. Tell me what happened. And then you're going to listen to that 911 call going, that doesn't jibe up to what he's saying. Not only that, how was the 911 call done? Was it done by does he have a home phone? Does he have a cell phone? These are things you're thinking about when you're talking about this. And this is why we sit down and we'll try to deal with the emotional part. If he's emotional, we have to wait till they calm down a little bit before we can speak to them. Because again, whether you're faking it or not, it doesn't work if you don't have their full attention and them in a rational state of mind. So I don't know how it worked when the interview room. Was he calm? Did he calm down a little bit so they could talk about this? And this is what these 911 calls do. We listen to them, and not just one detective. They're all going to listen to it. And they're going to hear some things everyone hears something a little different. That's why you're going to hear they go, this doesn't add up to what it's going down to. And it sticks out. He knew there were 2 gunshot wounds. If you've never dealt with any shootings, how would you know your wife was shot twice? If all the blood you're saying, you see 2 gunshot wounds. And that's what you tell them on the 911 call. My wife is shot. Oh my God, my wife is shot. She's shot twice in the head. That's a bit of a situation.
I'm glad that even he is aware of that. And it's interesting to hear detectives say that they listen to 911 phone calls, and I have every confidence in their ability to detect when people are being disingenuous. But when you're looking at evidence of a crime, you need to compare it to something. I think a 911 dispatcher who listens to hundreds and thousands of calls like this of genuine emergencies calls placed by people who did not commit the crime, that establishes a baseline for what normal behavior is on a 911 phone call. So yeah, I think it's important not only to listen to suspicious 911 calls, but to have that framework and that reference point to what does it sound like when a man really does wake up and find that his wife's been shot? What does that sound like? And account for personality differences and go from there. Drew, final thoughts?
Well, I want to know what you guys heard on that 911 call. Please drop it in the comments. What stuck out to you? We guarantee John caught something that you probably didn't even think about. And if you know somebody who watches true crime and has never seen a case broken down like this is the video to send them. And I'll tell you why. Caleb Flynn's trial starts at the end of April. If there's not another continuance, there was just a hearing the other day. And that's less than a month from now. So we're going to be covering the whole thing. I want you to subscribe so you don't miss our coverage in this ongoing trial. This is going to be an interesting trial. If the 911 call on the crime scene isn't revealing, just wait till you see what comes out of trial, because it seems to me like this defense is already kind of using a very familiar playbook.
Well, yeah, it's the one-armed man. I mean, where this is basically the plot of The Fugitive. We have plenty of episodes for you to watch in our back catalog. We've been here for years. You're going to get a unique take on true crime breakdowns of big cases, small cases, and a real insight on how real investigators start investigating crime all the way through to the conviction in the courtroom right here in the Comm Center. Drew,
10,000 episodes.
This video is over. Goodbye.